They don't realize you need someone else to help you. An advisor needs advisors. This book acts as like an advisor tool to
Wow.
help them then seek other people to help.
When did I become passionate about protecting other people's intellectual property? When my own got stolen,
Right.
right? Like when I didn't do it right. Everybody is here for a short time. It's caring, it's loving to plan.
Welcome to the Total Succession Show. I'm your host, Tyson Ray, joined by Kim Kokenauer. We're glad you're here. Subscribe at totalsuccession.com/podcast and let each episode guide you closer to a confident, well-planned exit. Today's conversation just might be the nudge you need to start preparing for what's next.
Welcome, folks. I have the fantastic author of Total Succession, Mr. Tyson Ray. Listen up if you are interested in this topic at all. You are going to learn so much. Tyson, good to talk with you today.
Man, it's just great to be on with you, my friend.
Oh my gosh. Listen, first of all, when we get started with this, you're going to drop such gold that I have to give a quick disclaimer. We are not giving any legal advice, any financial advice. This is going to be a fantastic chat around the book Total Succession. So I just want people to know right off the gate about all that. But listen, Tyson, we met through Strategic Coach. It's been amazing. You and I have the same haircut, but you are about 50 pounds more muscle. Um, so I'm okay with that. I'm okay with
It was
that.
it was a change of goals about 10 years ago because I found with my 3 sons, if I could pick them up off the ground so their feet dangled, all I had to do was get them to my eye level and tell them no and set them back down, and they were obedient.
Oh, I
But they
like
kept getting
that.
heavier. So then it was swinging kettlebells and all this other stuff, and
Yes,
so
yes.
here's the
All
result.
right. I like it, man. Listen, um, we share a common state, the Wisconsin area. The snow is falling here, but we're gonna have a fantastic chat today. And let's talk about, first of all, why. Why did you write this book?
Yeah. So I'm a student teacher
Mm,
by my makeup, which means if I learn some things, I can't help myself but then try and teach what I learned.
I like that.
As a way of sharing. I'm in financial services. The book was written for financial advisors. The subtitle is How a Financial Advisor Can Retire, Be
Mm,
Fully Compensated, but yet keep their clients' interests first, which I think is missing in the conversation of succession industry wide, not just financial
absolutely.
advisors, but
Yes.
just like how you sell the business and keep your customers and your team. And why the book? In 2024, I actually explored what acquisitions would look like. What would my firm look like if it was acquired? And I
Mm,
did the NDAs and the indication of interest and marched down the path of a couple
I
different
remember
firms.
this.
Learned a couple things. First and foremost, I thought my structure, my legal structure of my firm was set up correctly for succession, and it wasn't.
Mm,
I thought the ways I could help my team participate in that were lacking, especially from a tax perspective. And in the process, I also learned that a lot of the conversation was about big dollars, but the bigger the dollar amount, the more conflict was getting created for my concern of how the clients are really being cared for in that. Because in the end,
mm,
their revenues of compensation for the value that we add have to justify this price. And I just couldn't figure out, like, wait a second, like, how does like I just felt conflicted.
yeah.
So I ruled it out, but we also learned so much in the journey, and then the journey of getting legal counsel and redoing our corporate documents and holding companies and structures and just ways we were doing things that, I felt like the information I was learning was by the company on the other side telling me why they wanted to acquire my practice and what was good about that, and so there's a bias, right, to that.
Mm,
And I started looking around and there was like no resource or
manual.
owner's manual,
Yeah.
right? So, because there's all kinds of different ways of doing succession and not just for financial advisors, just industry wide, right? Are you going to be acquired? Are you going to have, and then in financial services, you have integrators and aggregators. One basically acquires you and takes everything over. Your identity goes away, your brand goes away, you become them. You have
Wow.
other ones that no, you keep your brand and identity and they kind of become the back office. So there's different ways to get acquired that
Sure.
way. You internal successions, is that with your team? Is that with a family member? You have partnerships where here two teams come together to try and be better as a whole. And what we started doing at your recommendation was first podcast, and we were just bringing on all kinds of guests, and we brought representation in from different companies that do acquisitions. We brought guests
Wow.
in that were successful with family members or
Mm,
internal succession or legal experts, tax experts. And from those podcasts, along with just kind of a backdrop of how we feel one should think about succession, the book was written. And it's
mm,
written in a way to basically be that resource of the struggles of succession and what that looks like, how advisors need to be thinking to even get through what a succession needs to be for them, and creating space in their calendar and in their mind to be able to process what succession looks like for them. And then the back half of the book is the pros and cons, because there is no perfect succession.
that's
Pros and
interesting.
cons of internal, external, family members, partners, teams, and that's the why. It was here's a resource of everything that we've learned, and not just what we know, but what other experts have taught us.
Mm.
That is the total succession.
I love this because you somebody might be listening and saying, "That book is so niche," or niche, as some people say. The beauty of that, though, as a publisher, they will tell you that the riches are in the niches, meaning you gotta have a narrow view for the book. Otherwise, your book sounds like everything else. I love this. This is the go-to book. I mean, literally, you've outlined that as in, like, I've gone through the battle. I might not have been prepared. I learned a ton. I'm walking away with a battle plan. And here's what I hear you saying, Tyson. What should have been your client-centric and motivated process, you found out very early on wasn't becoming that. That's what I heard you say. I heard you this conflict between, like, I should do a succession, but I got into it and I realized what? I don't wanna put words in your mouth, but it wasn't the best scenario for my clients until I did XYZ.
Yeah, what I realized was, if I was a plumber, my pipes were leaking.
Mm,
And when I started looking at my own exit and looking at being acquired, I started realizing gaps.
wow.
And the book is to try and help others identify the gaps before they're sitting across the table from somebody that's offering them millions of dollars to take over their business. And I think the mistake and the warning to those that are listening is uh, is to figure out what you want before you're trying to turn away millions of dollars that can become a distraction from what you really want. It's to
That's
prevent people.
big.
Yeah, my whole purpose in life is to try and help equip people to not regret their present decisions. And the only way you do that is to try and educate yourself before you're in the situation of making the decision.
Ooh, I like that.
And then because I'm a student teacher, last fall in the process, there's 2 industries that put out designations for exit planning, and it's both for attorneys and advisors and accountants and bankers and everything. I went and got the other one just because it's like, okay, here's one. I went and
Sure.
got the other one, and just it's a deep dive into what is the best practice for a financial advisor to think about, because in the end, we all forget as a financial advisor, and I think this is true for businesses in general, your clients become like family. I mean, it's more
Oh,
than
yeah,
friends.
yeah,
Like you
yeah.
you have deep bonded relationships that if you're exiting your business, in the end, you're walking away in some transaction or death. On the transaction side, you're going to be bumping into these people for the rest of your life,
Mm,
and they're going to tell you whether or not it was successful or not. And what is the way for you to do it right that you can bump into those people and they can thank you? Like, can we think about succession that you leave your clients better
wow.
off
Mm,
as you transition out?
that's deep, man. I love this. I love this. Just a quick personal story. When did I become passionate about protecting other people's intellectual property? When my own got stolen,
Right.
right? Like,
Right.
when I didn't do it right, And so, good for you, man, that you're this teacher who says, I like what you're saying, you're a teacher learner. You said, "Look, I had to learn this for myself," and then most people could have been selfish and, "Oh, that's cool. I learned a lesson. I have some scars." You're the one who's like, "And I'm going to put it in a book so that the next person I meet doesn't have to go through the same conflict. I mean, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, and the other thing that I appreciate in your help in bringing out of us this book,
Mm,
like the last book that you helped with called Total Relationship, which was another
yeah,
financial advisor guide about trying to help with the understand what the importance of the client relationship really is and how to go about it.
right.
Um, that I had non-advisors come back to me that read it that got something out of it. And I feel like the total succession can be a tool for anybody that's looking at succession, though it's written specifically for financial advisors.
I love that. I love that. So they actually what I hear you saying is, I mean, they're part of the same brand. I mean, a different outcome, but tell me about because the word is common in both. Tell me what the word total means. That's a pretty cool word.
Yeah, for me, um, it's to help draw the reader and to help you that listen to the podcast into a bigger picture.
Mm,
It's to try and be holistic in its approach, where in succession you can get focused on the money, or you can get
yeah,
focused on your ego, you can get focused on your team, and it's to step back and see what are all the options, what are the pros and cons of all the options, and the book talks about a space framework to take your thinking through an exercise to try and define for yourself what what your total succession needs to be. It doesn't tell you what the
yeah,
total succession is.
yeah.
You get to discover that because it's yours.
That's huge, man. Like, think about it. Do you want health or total health? Do you want peace or total peace? So I like this word total. I'm looking at the Amazon thing here. Amazing. You just said space S-P-A-C-E. I love
Yep.
that. You know I'm into IP, man. That's some IP
Yep.
right there. The space framework. See, prepare, act, commit, exit. They're all verbs. Super cool. Um, how did that come about? This is like what you actually went through for your 5 steps?
Yeah, when I was, this last week, I was thumbing through, legal pads, I write down thoughts,
Mm,
and in early 2024, before I even knew I was doing the succession thing, or at least doing a total succession book, podcast, that type of thing,
yeah.
I stumbled across me realizing that in order to make important decisions, I need to force myself to create the space in time and in
Mm,
thought, right? You got to free your mind
see.
up, but you also got to free your
Ah.
calendar up to free yourself to be able to think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then I wrote down I don't make the space I need to make some of these decisions. And then I started looking at it,
Nice.
okay, what would that space like what in that space, what would I do? And it's just like, well, it's the tools of trying to see what the future looks like. What do you see
Wow.
yourself doing? Are you dying at your desk? Because that's a succession plan. Are you exiting it? Is it a certain amount of income you're going to exit at? Is it a certain age you're going to exit at? Do you see what other people that are more important than anything in your life want to help? What is their picture? What do they see? And as you define for yourself what you see yourself doing, like
Mhm.
vividly get that in your mind, that's your compass, that's what you're heading
That's
towards.
it, man.
Okay, now take time, space. What do I need to do to prepare to make that a reality?
I like it. There's the P.
There's the P. What's in place? What do I need to be changing? What
Mhm.
who do I need to be delegating things to help me move this forward?
Totally.
Okay, that's kind of your to-do list.
Mm,
Okay, now what are you gonna act on? What do you have to now start doing of the prepare to make what you saw a reality?
mm.
And in acting on things, and I think this is where people fail, like, we're really good at making the to-do list,
Yeah, they
and
yeah.
maybe starting, but a lot of total succession, a lot of freeing yourself to become who you are called to be, who you have envisioned yourself to be, means you need to be committing to actually doing the things, and a lot of times it's actually not stop doing things.
Wow.
Delegate and
Oh,
elevate.
yeah.
It's the who and the how. It's letting go
Mhm.
to be able to exit into what you saw. And again, it may not be succession is a journey. And
Mhm.
so a lot of successful succession means you have a team that's able now to run the business, a self-managed company. And part of exiting means you've committed and you've done what you needed to do to now exit the role of marketing, or that you're over
Exactly.
finance, or that you're over client meetings, or you're over the sales process, or you're over the portfolio, like, so that when you can walk away.
Wow. I love this for a couple reasons. I mean, this is so good. You will exit your practice. Will you lead it or will it lead you? Ah, that's so good. And then you only exit your practice once. Do it on your terms. I mean, the bookends of that. So let's talk about that for a moment. The person who says, "Oh, I'll never exit." What are they? Are they confused? Are they delusional? They don't believe in death? What what do you think? The person who says,
um,
"I'm never gonna exit."
I don't think they make that conscious decision. I think they are caught up in the urgent crowding out the important. And one of the advisors that inspired some of the book to be written, I had chats with him about his own succession. We've been kind of like what the future holds. He's probably a
Yeah.
decade older than I am. And nope, I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep doing this. And what happened was his daughter had a baby and he's holding his grandson. And his
Mm,
entire purpose in life changed, and all he wants to do is
wow.
be in that child's life. And part of the space framework is like, hey, if you can see into the future and ask yourself some of those questions, and ask your significant other some of those questions, like, what kind of grandparents do you want to be, and how involved do you want to be? You could have seen some of that coming, likely.
So good. I love that. I mean, this is so clear. See, prepare, act, commit, exit, space. Love it. And so you believe that unless you think you're immortal, exit's gonna happen to you or you're gonna happen to it. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather be in control.
None of us are promised tomorrow. But also in the scenario that, hey, you know what, we all plan for later and don't realize when later becomes now.
This is good stuff. You know, I have a financial advisor and you do. You kinda go through this thing of they can't outlive everybody. Right? I mean, there's no financial advisor who's gonna outlive everybody, so it does happen. Have you seen it happen, Tyson, just because 'cause you're more in the industry than me? Have you seen it happen where somebody does pass and, like,
It's
what? Does it create confusion immediately for the clients?
yes, because if the advisor hasn't taken the opportunity of building out the bench and leveraging, uh not the advisors make the mistake of thinking that the relationships are theirs, and so therefore they have to keep that relationship, and to give it to anybody else is to give the relationship away. And the mistake of that is
Oh.
realizing that no, you have those relationships, and bringing somebody else in can actually enhance that relationship.
Mm,
And so the catastrophic events where there isn't a co-pilot, there isn't a second chair sitting in the meetings,
yeah.
knowing the client, knowing the history of the relationship and the story of their wealth and what the goals and plans are. And that it's documented in such a way that someone else can, like a medical chart, another doctor could come in, pick up the medical chart. This was the diagnosis. This was the care plan. This is how we're moving forward. These are the fears and issues that someone can continue that. So you have the catastrophic side of things. And then on the ones that even plan, I acquired a practice that, it was a number. He got his number. He retired. 12 months later, he regretted that he retired because he's bored. And
Wow.
he didn't, because he got so focused on a number,
Yeah.
he didn't think about what am I going to do with all my gifts and talents and abilities.
Ah,
And he wishes he could have stayed on in some type of capacity. And we tried to work with that a little bit, but it was he was torn between hobbies and interests. But after those hobbies and interests played out, and all the relationships transitioned over, and he's retired and kind of out of the picture, there wasn't a place for him to really come back to.
mm,
And it's just, again, I don't think people take enough time personally to plan. I think the mistake advisors make specifically, and I think this could be true of business owners, is they're so focused on doing it on for others, they don't do it for themselves, and they don't realize you need someone else to help you. An advisor needs advisors. This book acts as like an advisor tool to
wow.
help them then seek other people to help speak into what is your space? What is the success? What is your total succession?
Yeah.
What do your loved ones want the total succession to look like? What do
Yep.
your team members want the total succession to look like? What does the clients want the total succession to look like? What does the government have to say from a tax standpoint on your total succession?
Yeah.
What financial resources have you stewarded well enough that you don't have to have this huge bucket of money in the end? What does that look like? And the reality is that I think when you have a practice that is dependent upon you, it is
Mhm.
also dependent upon you to work to make it not dependent on you.
Mm.
And our ego
This is
says, "No,
good.
no, it's gotta be mine.
Yeah.
I gotta keep my con my I feel my purpose in life is that I'm responsible for all these things."
Mm.
Not realizing that as you take on more and more responsibility, you have more and more complexity. Therefore, some of the things you're responsible for get prioritized in ways that maybe don't give the best outcomes.
Mhm.
And that's where teams get to be developed, or that's where you get to see a solution that maybe you bring or partner or roll up underneath another team that can maybe do some of the things that you don't like in the podcast. And then I talk a lot about the fact that I think we're all the Energizer Bunny in the sense that we're energy,
Right.
positive energy, negative energy. And there are things that you do listening to this that give you energy. Like you could do it till 3 o'clock in the morning and you're oblivious to time because you're so energized with what you're doing.
Mm.
And then you could be doing things till 3 o'clock in the morning that are sucking the life out of you. And I think Dan Sullivan and the Who and the How is like, what are the things that you don't like that suck the energy out of you? And a lot of them are things you used to like, but
Yeah.
now it's routine and it's not challenging and it's boring, but you've kept the control. Part of
Wow.
the space framework is preparing, acting, committing to turn those over to other people so that you can keep doing what gives you the energy. That's the purpose behind all of life, I feel.
So good. As we land the plane here, gotta bring in a sports analogy. Um, but we've seen teams and franchises, and I could name them, but, whatever. You might love or hate the team I name, but the teams that have a plan, i.e., when this quarterback who's aging does retire, what is the rest of the team gonna do? And, like, when that is not clear, the other players, it's not fair for them. The coaches, it's not fair for them. The fans, it's not fair for them. I'm getting this whole analogy that you're talking about, like, even if people can't understand financial advisor succession, certainly sports, certainly countries with leadership. I mean, like, everybody is here for a short time, and so it's caring, it's loving to plan.
And it's also realizing that the older you get or the closer you get to feeling called to do something else, the less time you have to prepare for that. It actually is
Mm.
counterintuitive. It works against you because the best total
Say that last
succession
thing
for
again.
the longer you delay this,
Mm.
the less options you have, the more urgency you're going to create, the more mistakes you possibly can make.
Wow.
I- And it's also to realize that if you haven't thought about this at all, if you haven't put this in place, if you haven't really kind of accepted the reality of the stage of life that you're in, is
Mm.
also accepting the reality that if you were to do this, you would have done it already. Which means if you haven't and you're getting closer in years, 2, 3, 4, 5 years before
Sure.
you're looking to make a transition or your health is going to force you a
Yeah.
transition, uh, that is the opportunity for you to admit reality that you need a who to come in and help with the how to do a succession because someone needs to come help you do the planning and get it out of you. Because if you were meant to do this yourself, you would have done it already. It's part of success. It's also
Yeah.
be successful to realize that if I haven't done it and I delay it and urgent crowds out the important, I need to hire someone, delegate someone to make it their priority to get it out of me what this needs to look like because I don't think total succession is done in a vacuum.
I think you just had a IP phrase that you said it, "Success without succession is failure." I mean, I heard you say success, succession. I'm hearing this, man. Like, you you can have everything, but without a clear plan, you're in deep trouble. So, here's what we're gonna do as we land this plane here. There's some great tools at totalsuccession.com, including an incredible podcast with a lot of cool episodes.
It's let us help teach you what we've learned.
Yeah. Hey, man, that's what a Sherpa does. A Sherpa has climbed the mountain, come back down, the empathic one, who cares and says, "I'll show you the way." So, I know the book now, Tyson. Seriously, I know the book now to hand people. I think this is fantastic. Thank you to you and your team. Thanks for caring for your clients so that they land well. And I'm proud of you, man.
Hey, appreciate your help in and helping us get this done.
Awesome. Get the book, folks, and succeed well. Have a great day. And thanks so much, Tyson.
These conversations are designed to support your next move, however close or far it may be. Tap subscribe and let each episode guide you closer to a confident, well-planned exit. I've wrestled with these things myself, and that's exactly why I created something to help you do it with less stress and more direction. My book, Total Succession, is now available on Amazon. Inside, I break the process down into 5 clear steps to help you exit on your terms with confidence, full compensation, and your client's best interests at heart. You can also visit totalsuccession.com/podcast to download a free starter guide that walks you through my SPACE framework: see, prepare, act, commit, exit. Remember, you only exit your business once. Create the space to do it well. Thanks for listening. Until next time.